Joining me to talk about this is veteran teacher Theresa. Did you
Uh,
hear? Did you hear that last question?
the question was about workplace drama.
Yeah.
Yes. So, um, with the workplace drama in our area, I find it interesting because it goes beyond our walls and comes in from other places. We even have schools that are outside of our district that they hear a rumor because we are in a small area and it explodes into something else. I've seen it from district to district, not just within a single district or school.
Okay. All right. My next one has to do with student phone addiction. What do you what are your thoughts? Do you see kids that are on their phone constantly throughout the day? Do you think it's a problem? And do you think there should be more rules in place about cell phones?
Um, our policy here works pretty well. It's pretty straightforward. We don't have a lot of problems with cell phone use by students at work. I don't I don't see that. I find that it's a little more challenging when a teacher decides that, they want to, I'll say, ignore the policy that's set in place and that they allow students to be on their phones when they shouldn't be. But for the most part, no, we don't have that challenge here.
Okay. All right. Now, this next one is like with book banning. Do you agree with banning books, or do you think there should be a ban on banning books? What are your thoughts on the matter?
Hmm. Um, that's a ooh,
Yeah.
yikes. I'll tell you that I think that a book needs to be evaluated before it's brought into a certain grade level. Do I think we should ban them? No. No, because the kids can get to them. The kids can get to them if they really want to. They're going to get to them outside of a protected environment. So if we introduce them in the classroom, then you know, then they're at least educated. They're at least given information. It's not, they're able to get some clearer um, direction and information about whatever the topic is that's in the story.
Okay. All right. And this next one has to do with AI in the classroom. I don't know what subject you teach, but do you see what are your thoughts on AI? Are teachers starting to embrace it, or are they trying to ban it? And
I hate it.
have you ever caught a student trying to use it? You hate
I hate it.
it.
So here's the problem I have with AI. AI is a very useful situation. Um, However, I'm a special education teacher, and the reality is that I feel like it enables our students to be lazy.
Okay. All right. Um, Now this next one has some it's talking about student performance. Do you think much
Oh,
do you think much students are behind where they should be? Like, do you see a lot of students? Because you hear a lot of people say that they find like kids that are in college, but they're struggling to do like elementary level math and stuff. Have you seen a lot of that? And what do you think is the biggest cause and decrease of testing scores?
ooh. In in my experience, what I see is parent involvement. If parents were more involved and if the schools, there is so much concern these days about allowing parents into the schools for various reasons that we've taken away the ability to be proactive and as a parent. If parents were more involved in the schools, students' success would be higher. And
Okay.
I say that because I'm a parent. I'm a parent of 6 kids that came from the foster system, and I see, the challenges that they go through compared to the challenges that other kids have that haven't been through their life. And the involvement that has changed for them, and they struggle with that change because they're so used to, oh, mom and dad are too busy to be part of my school. And now my husband and I are both very active in our children and what they're doing, and so they struggle. um, but at the same time, parents aren't educated. And what I mean by that is they don't we've changed to Common Core, and Common Core is way difficult for so many parents. The parents don't understand. They can't help their kids at home. So they go, I'm sorry, go back and talk to your teacher. We've eliminated the ability for parents to be involved in the children's education.
Hmm.
And until we fix that, we, yeah, we're just going to have declining test scores because kids think that their parents don't care. I hear it all the time.
Okay. All right. Great. My next one has something to do with dress codes. I just want to know what your thoughts on dress codes in general. If you like them or you're indifferent, you don't really care about them one way or another. Some people think that they're racist or they can be sexist and stuff like that with some of the way that they are enforced. Some people want uniforms because they say that prevents classism. What is your thoughts on all of that? Like, who do you agree with on all that?
Oh, um, dress codes. Dress codes. My thought on dress codes is my kids used to have to wear uniforms, and I was like, oh, great. I know that those are school clothes. I don't have to worry about it. Um, but at the school level, it takes away individuality. Um, so that's kind of it's in my world, that's a challenge because I want to see individuality. I want to see independence. I don't want to see everybody doing exactly, we're not robots. So I don't believe that uniforms. I believe kids should be taught, especially at 6th grade and up, they need to be taught how to appropriately dress, because as they get older, they're going to start going into the workforce. They have to know how to do these things, um, and what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. So I think dress codes need to be more specific. Um, they need to be uh, consistent through a district, because that's one of the things I see where we're at, is that um, in our district, one school allows one type of dress for kids, and then the other school does not. So I think it needs to be consistent, just so that there's not this, well, they do it over there, why can't we do it here? Um, so I think it needs to be consistent. I think it needs to allow for independence. Um, and I think that kids need to start learning how to appropriately not only dress for the business world, but also they need to be able to um, they need to be able to share their views as they're developing them. Again, it's an educational process. We have a student here that wanted to wear shirts that supported, I can't think of what the name of the shirt is or what the organization is. There's an organization that brings suicide and crisis awareness, especially for veterans. And she was wearing um, a shirt that came from that organization, and she was, that she supports. And The school told her she had to change, that it was out of policy and that she wasn't allowed to do that. There's nothing wrong with the shirt other than somebody felt that it was a political type of statement. And I think that we need to again be educated and not create bias.
Okay, great. Awesome. Great answer. My next one has to do with bullying. Bullying is also kind of a controversial topic because a lot of people, a lot of people have different ways of solving bullying, whether it's to fight back and or just to walk away. But some people say that's not always realistic. As a teacher, though, do you see a lot of students get bullied by other kids normally? What do you think is the biggest cause of bullying, and what can teachers do to prevent it? And what are things that teachers are always kind of looking out for in that regard?
Oh goodness, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So bullying in general is something that has been around for as long as people have attended school. I mean, the reality is it's not something that's new. It's not something that is necessarily going to go away. It's just going to find a new way to rear its head. Um, so teachers have to be on the lookout. They have to be aware of what what are the new methods that are coming out? What are kids doing now, or what might they do in the future that are going to be the avenues to express that bullying? Um, on some level, and I'm going to go back to, gosh, when I was a kid. Um, the reality is that bullying is in when I was growing up, oh, they're just teasing you. Oh, they're just, whatever. Again, I think it's bullying, I think is honestly a way for kids to voice their opinions. Because they haven't learned appropriate methods to be individuals. They haven't goodness, this is a tough one. They just haven't learned how to be themselves yet because they're still trying to figure out who they are. And as they're figuring out who they are, somebody who has a different, some sort of diversity from them, they think, well, I'm better than them, or I want to be top dog. So they're going to try to push themselves up there, even if it's in an inappropriate method. Teachers need to be looking out for those next waves. Nobody expected that bullying would take place through social media and all those things, but here we are. That's where we're at. Um, I yeah, I think that's it. And bullying you see everywhere, and it comes in different ways.
Okay.
That's just how it is.
Okay. All right. My next one is about student behavior, kind of tied in with bullying a little bit. Some people, people always blame that whatever generation is the new, or people always are, people are always blaming the generation before or after. It's a constant thing. But some people say that student behavior has gotten worse. I heard that too when I was in high school. That the students are worse today than they used to be. Do you agree with that? Like with today's students, with the students you see, do you think behavior in a lot of students has gotten worse? And what do you think is the biggest cause of bad student behavior? Is it the lack of parent involvement? What's your thoughts on that?
Um, Student behavior, some of it is lack of parent involvement. Okay. Um, it does start there. It does start with we don't allow parents in the buildings anymore, and we we need to be more of an open book as far as a school. I know that there's these security factors, and I know everybody's afraid of the next school shooting and all of these things, or what's going to happen if somebody walks off with a kid. I understand all of that. Um, but I really think that schools need to be more open to allowing, parents. They're parents. They're not some crazy person coming off the street. They're not just anybody. You're allowing parents of your students into your building. And I think the more the parents see and the more the kids see that the parents are here, the more it's going to it's going to benefit everybody involved. Um, that's my personal opinion. Not everybody agrees with me, I know. I have a lot of teachers that I work with that are like, no, I don't want the parents here. I don't want them. And I just think to myself, okay, so what is it you're doing or not doing that you don't want these parents to see? Because who else, why wouldn't you want free help?
Hmm.
Why wouldn't you want free help? Um, so I that's a controversy that I run into all the time because I have a different stance than other people. As far as the other behaviors, some of it has to do with I'm going to go to my grandkids. My grandkids are so-called free range kids, free range children. What is that? Are you kidding me? What kind of direction have you given them? Now your house is disgusting and trashed because your kids just do whatever they're going to do, and you've shown them no responsibility. So I see that. I see parents that are the enablers. Oh, you can't fold that paper? Oh, come here, honey, I'll do it for you. So um, behaviors come from a wide range of reasons. It can come from a child that doesn't get enough attention at home. It can be from them not getting their way because the parents are so involved at home that they don't know how to do anything for themselves. Behaviors are just coming from everywhere. And I mean, teenagers are running into, different kinds of things. They have more access to things, you know. I mean, who would have thought that second graders could get a hold of vapes and and whatever else they're getting a hold of? But these things happen. And so there's too much of a variety of why kids are behaving the way they are. And there is no real solid solution for any one of them.
Okay. All right. And we are almost near the end here. The we kind of just touched on it with parents and stuff. I hear a lot of parents kind of get defensive when teachers talk to them, especially when, their child is in trouble or something that they did. You always hear that like, oh, my child will never do that. That's a very, popular for, thing that you hear parents say. Uh, have you ever seen like a parent just talk to you or act or even dress inappropriately, and like what can be done about it, and what should parents remember when they're talking to teachers?
Oh goodness. Parents, again, we're going to go back to if they were allowed to be in the school, they would see more. So
Mhm.
they would be more knowledgeable as to what's going on. Um, I, as a parent, have never gotten defensive because I'm like, okay, what'd my kid do? I always trust that the adult is going to be honest. Now, there has been times, I'm not even going to, you know, deny it, but there's been times where I felt like the teacher was just, okay, this teacher just isn't in the right place for them. It doesn't mean that they shouldn't be a teacher. It means that they just are not in the right placement. Um, because I had a situation where two of my kids had the same teacher, two at different grade levels. One I fully expected to get in trouble on a regular basis. Okay. And one who is completely like, no, doesn't get in trouble, well behaved, always does their work, da 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 da. So when I have both of those kids coming home and telling me A, B, and C, then okay, now I'm looking at a bigger picture. So if parents have the information and they build that relationship, teachers must build relationships with the parents. They have to be able to do that. If they can't or they are unwilling, then the system is broken. It is just the system is broken. Teachers, all school staff has to be able to build relationships with students and parents. Parents need to be able to openly discuss and feel comfortable voicing their concerns, because if they feel comfortable voicing what they have to say about their child, then the teacher, they can have a conversation that's two ways and not, you know, just biased. Now there are some parents that no matter what, their kids are angels and they can't do any wrong, and there's nothing you can really do other than provide more information or have support from another staff member that says, look, I witnessed this. This is what really happened. You can't, parents, when they start seeing it that way, then and they're not attacked, which I've seen teachers do. I've seen teachers go, well, your kid did this. Rah, 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 rah. You have to be able to open the conversation. We're coming back from fall break. I have kids that are, like I said, I'm a special education teacher. So these kids, they don't come back in and they're just ready to go. We have behaviors and we have to relearn everything we did for the first quarter, second quarter, whatever. I made the mistake of mentioning to a parent, hey, did anything change over the break? This is what I see today. She came back with, well, I'm confused. Now you're complaining about this. Well, no, I'm asking a question because this is not what I saw before break. And it's completely different than what we were, So I'm asking, was there anything that changed so that I know what I'm looking for? So yes, I was, she was like, wait, I'm confused. I don't understand what you're saying. But then we had the conversation, we had the dialogue, and she was able to understand and I was able to understand. So it takes that work. It's all work. Everybody has to be willing to do it.
Okay. All right. My last question, it's a two-parter, but
Okay.
what is something that schools, in your opinion, what is something that schools get right, and what is something that schools get wrong?
Oh, wow. Schools get right. Um, wow, that's really hard because at this point there's such a teacher shortage that we can't even get, like, what I see is the schools, they hire warm bodies, and that's not beneficial for the school or the students. Um, wow, getting right. I mean, I'm kind of stuck because as a teacher, our district is doing everything we can, but funding is not there. So I mean, if they don't have the funds, they struggle, um, which starts at the government level and all of that. Um, Schools, the leadership is typically in they have the right, they have the, what am I trying to say here? Their hearts and their minds are in the right place, but schools have to be supported above us.
Okay. All right.
Because I haven't seen a leader that's in a school that is just there they want to because they want to run something. That's not that. They're here because their hearts and their minds are in the right place. They just need to be able to be supported.